Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us on another episode of She Constructs. I'm here today with Jackie Faulkner. She is a co-founder and president of THRIVESTATE Inc., and she's here to talk to us today about psychological health and safety. So welcome, Jackie.
Thank you, Paula. I'm so excited for the opportunity. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so glad you're here. Tell us a bit about yourself, how you got to founding your company and what it's all about.
Sure. So you mentioned it's a co-founder. I co-founded THRIVESTATE with my dad, actually. So we're business partners. And it stems from my background was actually in social work and in mental health. And I spent the last bunch of years in an HR capacity. And it was there that I really became curious and passionate about employee mental health and wanted to have a bigger impact in terms of, working in a mental health organization. They already kind of know and understand. So I knew that the average, private sector business is going to not have as much information. And so I wanted to help kind of spread information and help more workplaces be psychologically healthy and safe.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what kind of educational background do you have that led you to this path?
So I studied social service work and art therapy, actually, and spent most of my career in management. And so I think the way that those things serve me now, and I ended up in HR. I've done some courses in HR, but I'm not actually certified, like a certified HR professional. But my partner actually owns a construction business. And so I got to practice a lot of, the theory and things that I was learning and seeing with him and his business, and really seeing how impactful it is in this sector specifically. So I became really passionate about the construction industry because it's one that's been sort of traditionally not psychologically safe.
Right. And I think that's pretty important in the construction world, that people acknowledge the fact that psychological health and safety is very important. Everybody constantly thinks about the physical health and safety on job sites, but often it's overlooked that the psychological part of that. Can you explain to us a little bit about what psychological health and safety means?
Yes. So another way that I look at it is sort of like the company culture. And even that is a bit of an evasive term. I think that people actually know intuitively when an environment is not psychologically safe. Because if I ask you, are you looking forward to going to work on Monday morning? And you hesitate, or you're not fully sure, or there's something about it that you're not excited about, is usually a sign that things are not fully psychologically safe. There's so many things that contribute to psychological safety, but really what it means is that there's an environment that causes no additional mental harm or stress, whether it's intentional or through neglect. So it's a place where people feel safe to be their true self. They're not censored. They can be who they are, contribute in a meaningful way, ask questions, and feel just comfortable being their self in doing so.
So when you go and talk or work with companies about psychological health and safety, what are kind of the steps that you take to help them or manage it or assess them, tell them what they're doing right or what they're not doing right?
Yes. So so in Canada, we actually have the National Center for Psychological Health and Safety in the workplace, which a lot of people don't know. It's been around since 2013. And there's a tool that supports the assessment process that was created by Guarding Minds at Work. So it's evidence-based, and it's all Canadian data, which I love. And there's over 3,000 Canadian businesses across the country. And so we start with doing that survey with the employees. It's got 66 questions, and it actually asks about all the different 13 factors that contribute to psychological safety. And so it gives us a score on each of those factors. And it doesn't use a language of, right or wrong, good or bad. It's just how much of a risk or strength is this category. And so we use that as a starting place. And we also supplement that by doing the same questions with the leadership or owner, depending how big the management structure is. And we do a comparison. So the managers, leaders get to see how they rate everything versus how the employees rate everything. And that's usually pretty indicative. Because leaders, for the most part, I think all leaders that I've come in contact with have the best of intentions, and they think they're doing all the right things to have psychological safety, a great company culture. And the employees' experience of those efforts doesn't translate into what they're intending. So we help them identify then what are the gaps, what are the areas that are at most risk of those 13 factors. And then we give recommendations, and recommendations fall into 4 categories. So it could be there's a need for either creating or adapting policies and procedures. There could be a need for training. There could be a need for developing communication pathways or different ways of communicating about that particular topic. Or it's just about how do we embed this into our company norms and behaviors. So each of those 13 factors has its own recommendations in those categories, and we help them prioritize. And I prefer to see it as a quality improvement initiative or strategy, because you never just get there, and it's not a fixed it's fluid, right? It's changing every day because we change every day, and the work is changing every day. So it's similar to health and safety, which more people are definitely more familiar with in the construction industry. You always have to pay attention to it. So what are we going to focus on first? And then we work through, and then we're going to have to revisit it and come back to things because it's ongoing. In order to keep people safe, it's ongoing.
And I would imagine that you have some pretty amazing statistics to show to folks that when there is stronger health and safety, psychological health and safety within an organization, their ROI and their bottom lines increase significantly, because when people are engaged and happy at work, I'm sure their performance levels are much higher.
Yeah, absolutely. So the average that they've shown, and these are Canadian statistics, it's $1.62 within the first year return on investment for every dollar spent on employee mental health initiatives. It's an ROI of $1.62, and that goes up to over $2. I think it's $2.18 by 3 years. And a company like Bell Canada, who's known for Bell Let's Talk, that was last week, but they have company-wide employee mental health initiatives, and they're at over $4. I think it's $4.70 after 9 years in terms of the return on investment. And the things that actually impacts are productivity, absenteeism, turnover. These are all things that people don't, it's hard to quantify, but it is actually possible. The other thing that part of what goes into that ROI is you have fewer mistakes, fewer customer or client complaints, because they're then dealing with happier, healthier employees, and less accidents. I think it's 12% less accidents and mistakes, which those can be costly. So there's lots of ways that investing in your employees' mental health is literally good for business, for the profitability of your business.
Who is typically the champion at an organization for psychological health and safety? Is it typically land like on HR or the health and safety reps or the joint health and safety committee, or is it a top down type of deal? Where do you find it?
That's a great question. So we found and I don't know if that's just our experience, that a lot of times we are coming into organizations that don't have a dedicated HR person or department, and yet there's a recognized need that this sort of needs attention. And it also depends on the size of the organization. because some people are required to have joint health and safety. Some just have a safety rep. So certainly they become champions. What I've definitely found, and I'm pretty sure, I don't think I would work with an organization where at the highest level there isn't buy-in to it, like that. They need to understand and believe in that we want to move the needle in terms of making this workplace better for employees, psychologically safer for employees. If there isn't at least buy-in, they don't have to be the leading the initiatives or taking on the action items, but they have to be modeling it and embodying the principles and the fundamentals of what it means to be psychologically safe. It's not going to be sustainable without that at that level.
Right. Jackie, I really want to thank you for coming on today. And I'm going to kind of cut us short a little bit because you're going to actually run some sessions for us where individuals and companies can come and join in and learn more about what your company offers, what you do, the importance of it, steps they can take. And I'm really looking forward to you having do that for us.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody who's going to come and attend? And I didn't prep you on this question, but is there anything that they should kind of mentally prep for ahead of time, like ask specific questions or come with a certain mindset or inquiry?
I think what I normally find is that people who are interested in coming is often because they recognize that they're in an environment that is not ideal and or that they see that there's opportunity for improvement. And I think that's enough. I think coming with an open, curious mind is to say, how does this look? How can we move forward in terms of supporting our employees better, having healthier employees at work? I would say it's ideal for people if in an HR or leadership function to come because those are the ones that we need to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
At an employee level, though, you can still be a champion. You can still be a voice. You can still, I can provide tools in terms of how to build a business case to take to the people, to HR, to the leaders to say, here, I think there's some indicators that we might need to pay attention to this. If that answers your question.
Yeah, kind of one of those key elements to maybe surviving a workplace that is not perhaps psychologically health and safety savvy. I'll say it that way, right? Like,
sure. Yeah,
they could come and find out more and then take that back.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes at the end of the day, what I end up saying to people is maybe it's not like, maybe you shouldn't stay.
Right.
Because if you're not in a position to influence the change for it to be better, then it might not be in your best interest to stay. But I think when people have the framework, the language to understand what it is that they're experiencing, and kind of realizing that it's not, if it's not going to change because they're not in that position of influence, it can help people get permission to find a different option that is healthier for them.
That's awesome. Please watch, everyone, our website, www.sheconstructs.ca, our events and training page for the sessions that we're going to have with Jackie. And anybody and everybody can attend. It's not specific to your gender. It's not specific to your role at work. This is going to be a session for everybody to kind of learn more and hopefully bring forward more awareness of what might need to be better at your office location or your work environment.
That sounds awesome. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate you coming on today, and I look forward to the sessions.
Me too. Thanks, Paula.
Thanks. Bye.